With the last chapter of Black Clover, there have been tons of hot takes in the community in regards to whether or not the author made the right decision to walk back Gaja's death. While there are some who defended this stance, there have been others who went as far as to compare this moment to events that happened in Fairy Tail, like the 900 times that Makarov somehow ended up surviving when he should have died, like the Alvarez War arc, where he somehow ended up surviving what should have been a beautiful death for the character. While I do see both points here, I have to say that after quite a bit of time sitting back and thinking about it, I've got to say I see both sides. I think both sides have a point, and I think that the truth in this matter is somewhere in the middle. Now, just to be clear, I would have liked to see Gaja bite the bullet and die. Yes, God, yes. I felt like it would have been a beautiful end for the character, and if he had to go out with a sacrifice, the way he went out against Megicula would have been perfect writing. A harsh truth in life is that we don't always get the ending that we want. Sometimes our stories end sooner than we would have hoped, and sometimes progress requires others to make the ultimate sacrifice so that others can walk across the bridge that is built upon the backs of that sacrifice. It's for that reason I'll forever die on the hill that Julius should have died during the Elf Invasion arc, just like I feel like Gaja should have died here. However, playing devil's advocate, I also get why the author went this route. Overcoming the impossible is something that we've seen countless times in the series. The line where Mimosa says that overruling reality is what magic does, I totally get the meaning behind it. I totally get the symbolism. The power to give a second chance, to allow a character like Gaja to not only get a second chance at life, but to also have that opportunity to share that new life with Lord Pechka. Moving forward, I understand the importance of all that right here. That being said, I don't like the fact that Gaja's alive. Did I smile when I saw Gaja confess his love for Lord Pechka? Absolutely. I thought it was a very good scene. However, we're in a war where the stakes are at the highest that they've ever been in the series. Death isn't mandatory for a series to be good. I'm not saying that, but deaths, when done properly, can go a long way towards giving that real sense of danger, causing new or different characters to have interactions between the main cast, and in a war where some of the most powerful villains that we've ever seen in the series so far, someone has to die for it to not feel like it's the same cookie cutter shonen that you get in a lot of Weekly Shonen Jump titles. The whole point in a character's death, especially a beloved character or one that we've seen undergo true change, is to convince the reader that they've lost something precious. Yes, you read to escape from reality, but part of the journey is also the peaks and valleys that come with going on this journey with the main cast and seeing how they overcome those actions. The buildup of a beloved character, that feeling of rooting for them not to lose, and then the moment where the reader's heart gets ripped out is an experience that, when done right, can elevate a story to new levels. For example, during Demon Slayer's Mugen Train arc, we weren't introduced to Rengoku for a long time, but in that short period in time, the character was built up enough and through his interactions with Tanjiro and company that when he finally did die, due to how he went out, the death broke so many people who experienced this scene for the first time. It was a very beautiful way to say goodbye to a beloved character. We had a very similar thing with Gaja, a hopeless situation where all hope seemed lost. But when he seemed to go down, he did so being true to his character, leaving it all out there on the line, fighting a battle that he knew couldn't be afforded to lose. It's important to remember that as a writer, for as attached as you are to your characters, if they've been written correctly, your readers will be even more attached to them than you are the characters that you created. That feeling of loss will be felt doubly so by your readers, but when done correctly, that sacrifice will lead to a more enthralling and engaging story. It makes the payoff of when the hero triumphs feel that much more earned, because the reader knows that it did not come with a heavy emotional and a literal loss of life. A skilled writer knows how to craft a character death in a way that does one very important thing. It gets the reader to compare how the world is versus how they feel the world should be, and it uses the medium of the story that the reader is using to escape from reality as a way to ponder that very question. The impact of a character's death creates that moment in the reader's mind where they imagine how things could have been if they would have survived. It's why execution matters so much. It's one thing to have a character die just to show off the strength of the bad guy. That is what we refer to as cookie cutter shonen writing that a lesser shonen mangaka would do. It's another thing when the narrative leading leading up to the death creates a true sense of loss and terror. The character behavior, the impact that the death will have on the relationships that they leave behind, and the loss for desirable outcomes that the character longed for. In Black Clover, we knew based on the build-up for Magicula that Magicula was strong, extremely strong. She was a force of dread that was linked to so many characters. Having Gaja give his life while battling in that moment would have allowed the readers to actually mourn the loss of life because of the numerous implied moments where it became clear that Gaja had secret feelings for Lord Peshka, the Queen of the Heart Kingdom. A simple thought of a confession of love, of words never being verbally spoken to a lover. Due to the buildup that this scene would have had, it would have escaped the trap that a less talented writer would have fallen into, where the confession right before the death is something that is used to try and make readers mourn the relationship that never was. A less talented writer would go that route. In this case, due to the numerous interactions that we've seen, it actually would have resonated if something like this would have happened, especially when Lord Peshka's curse is undone when Magicula is defeated. It would have been in that moment that I mentioned earlier, presenting readers with the clash of how the world is versus how the reader feels it should be. Readers will be forced to confront the death of Gaja alongside the mourning Lord Peshka and others. Honestly, it's a missed opportunity. We've seen other characters die in the series, but the impact wasn't the same. For instance, the Wizard King dying thousands of years ago via sacrifice, it doesn't hit the same because we knew that the guy was going to be dead anyway. That's a certain level of knowledge that the reader has, and it's because the reader knows, okay, this guy's story's already over. It doesn't hit you the same. As a writer, you have to know your reader is smart. For Gaja, if he would have died in that moment, he would have died in character, and it would have done something very important. It would have, number one, given the series a major heartbreaking moment, a heartbreaking and defining heartbreaking moment. And number two, it would have left us walking out of this war against the devils, knowing that the price of victory came at the cost of someone that we grew to love, who we saw carry out his duties, struggle against the devils, serve as a mentor to members in the main cast, and ultimately give his life to be a bridge towards victory. Walking out of this current arc without a true cost, being blunt, is going to cheapen the payoff for this arc. However, it's just a thought, and those are just my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Have an awesome day, guys.